I'm LaShawnda Jones, the editor and photographer for I Am Woman, Black Women. I should know this, right? Expressions of Black Women in America. And Abena Amoah is one of the contributing authors of the book. And so today's discussion is basically a discussion of her work, her contributions in this volume, and her inspiration for that work. And we're going to get into it.
So hello, everyone. My name is Abena Amoah. I am a writer and also the author of Unspoken, which is a collection of poetry. Also very honored to work with LaShawnda here on her book, which is also published. And today we're just going to have a chat, hopefully for you guys to get to know me a bit, also for you guys to get to know a little bit of my work too. So, yeah.
I know one of the pieces that were well, we've talked about Scabs, the essay, but one of the poems that was one of my favorites, I want to share. But first, I want to ask you, what was the favorite piece that you submitted, and why was it the favorite?
I think I submitted to my daughter. I don't know if that's in there, but that's one of my favorite pieces. I don't have a daughter.
Oh, you don't?
I don't.
I just knew you had a child. Okay.
I don't have a daughter, but I think it was just coming from somewhere. If, one day if my child or someone was to pick up this book and they're reading all of this, what I would like them to know in that moment. And I think that's where that poem came from. So that's one of my favorite. So yeah, I don't have a daughter, maybe just manifesting here.
That's pretty awesome. And I'm guessing it may be somewhat universal, because there's two pieces I added in here. One is called A Blessing for My Daughters. And I too have no children. And the other was A Blessing for My Goddaughters. And, they're not, of me, but, and I agree. I think it's something that even in the absence of birthing children, I think women in general feel like mothers, right? We have that nurturing spirit that's just like, okay, well, even if I don't guide something from my body, I can still guide the people who are here.
Yes.
And that's why I got from that piece.
Yeah. That's I also think somewhere I was thinking about what we're now calling generational curses. And I think I know of too few of people where like it's become a cycle, right? When you dig deeper, it's become like, well, my sister went through this, my aunt went through this, so I think that was like my stamp to kind of like, I'm gonna let my children know, I'm gonna let them know. They don't have to know the details or anything like that, but I'm gonna let them know these are the things that I had to heal from, and I'm gonna let them know that you're safe in this space, and somewhat, not to say they're going to experience that, but just to let them know these are the things that your mother had to heal from. So yeah.
No, that's beautiful, and I absolutely agree. It's interesting. I lost my mother when I was 21, or right before my 21st birthday. And I'm 46 now. I actually live longer without her physically in the world than when I had her. It was like a very depressing time period for me, because I just couldn't understand life. Like, it just made no sense. But one of the things that I'm still dealing with is not knowing who she was as a woman, right? And that actually ended up being part of my introduction for this book, because I went around asking people, well, who was my mother? Who was she to you? Like, what was her story, right? Because she didn't share her story. She shared bits and pieces, but she didn't share the emotion around it. She didn't share the healing around it, the trauma around it, or any of it. So I had just the bare facts of some of the things, right? And I would say for my two grandmothers, they're going back to your generational bond. There's literally almost every woman in my family, I think, has had some form of sexual abuse.
Yeah.
And didn't really talk about it. It was just like, it's done. Get up, pick yourself up, move on, right? And so I was the first person who actually confronted my people with authorities. So first I went to the family members. You go to the village, right? I went to the family members and they're like, sweep under the rug. He said, sorry, don't worry about it. Then he keeps doing it because he's so sorry, and you keep telling people and no one's doing anything because this is the culture. This is the nature of people, right? They don't want anybody to know their dirt, but they don't want to clean the dirt either, right?
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to me that my whole life has been about healing and balance. And because of that, I'm completely out of sync with my whole family. And yeah.
No, but I think you said it beautifully. The word that I took out is authority, right? I'm not telling you that you have to tell your story, but I'm telling you that you can, and I'm telling you that this is how it looks like, because I think I needed that as well, from reading from other stories, from women who talk about their experiences, and it's very empowering,
It absolutely is.
Yeah. But I think there's so many of, I know of folks, I know of people who have disclosed to their parents, to their mothers, like, this is what happened to me. And it get a very response, they get the response of, well, yeah, this happened to us too. It happens, almost like it's a right of womanhood in a sense.
What do you expect?
Yeah, of course you should. Yeah, of course you should expect this to happen.
Yeah, you're a girl child. This is what it is, right? Yeah. Wow, that's unfortunately universal, and just
it is.
It's soul killing, in a very real way. Just very, very much so soul killing. So I think one of the things I was surprised about with the submissions was that there were so many stories like that. I had shared with you previously that I was trying to avoid sharing that story because I thought I had grown beyond that and I was able to share other stories. But honestly, all of my stories stem from that one. All of my history stems from that history within the family, within the generation, and throughout the generations. And it's soul crushing, soul killing, but also empowering when you confront it. And when you get to the point where you're like, this is not going to control my life, but at the same time, you realize that there are so many people being impacted by the same conditioning, right? Or by the same abuse and by the same dismissal of the harm of that abuse. So that's wow, it's just super powerful, I think, to come from that and to still have the hope to speak to future generations. Like, to my daughters, or my dreams for my daughters, or my hopes for my daughters. That's lovely. So, okay, so no daughter yet, but we are manifesting. I love it. Okay. And so Scabs, the essay that you wrote, was particularly powerful for me because it was the piece where I was like, okay, I'm going to have to share my own. It was like, okay, well, I could probably hide, but why hide? Because if someone's exposing themselves so painfully and powerfully, how can I, hide behind, my own wall of want to be healed type thing. So what was your process with writing Scabs?
Scabs. The first word that came to mind is vomit. I think I was in that moment where it's like, I'm saying it all without not saying it all, like everything is going to come out and I'm going to leave it right on the paper. And it is essentially just like me reflecting back and looking at the impact of my abuse, right? So scabs, when you have a wound, when it's healing, you have some scabs, things like that. And I think it comes out of frustration. It comes out of hurt. it comes out of pain, you
Mm-hmm.
know, but there's also some hope in there.
Yeah.
You know, there's also some hope in there. So Scabs is basically telling my story of when my abuse started and how I processed it and how I did not process it, you know, just like how it also impacted my adulthood, right? So this is from childhood, but how it impacts my relationship with myself, how it impacts my relationship with other people, to the point where how it impacts me spiritually, my relationship with my God, right? So I think it was just like a whoa moment. Like, you know, let's sit back for a moment and let's just talk about, you know, something that, let's say, from 6 years old to 28 years old, and it's still there, you know, still there, and it's not fading. It's just right there, you know. So I think I just wanted, it was almost like a little therapy for me. I just wanted to write it out and write out what I have become due to it, who I am, my thought process, who I am in every way due to it. So even though it was a difficult process, but I think reading it now, there's a sense of relief. Like, huh, okay, you know, it's almost like, yeah, it's like you're looking back at yourself, and you know, it's like, you know, some parts are ugly, but some parts are also very beautiful. You know,
absolutely,
yeah. So
how long ago? Thank you for sharing. So how long ago did you write it?
Oh, I don't think I remember the dates, but I do know when I submitted a few, I think I submitted like 3 or like 4 pieces to you, and then we had that conversation about, you know, if there's anything else, you know, and I sat back, I was trying to look at, you know, what I've already written, and there was there was nothing else in there that like I want to share. And it was just like, I want to share something else, you know, I want to write something else. And I think just your vision of what you wanted for I Am a Woman, I don't know, it just came out that, you know, as a woman, this is part of me. So yeah, so I don't think it was written, you know, it was written after you asked for more. And I
asked for more. Well, I'm glad I asked for more.
I don't know. It was great after you asked for more, and I was like, you know, let's do it then. And I think even we had the editing process, and you know, it's different when you write and you read because you're listening with your voice, and you know, we were trying to edit, and you're telling me some of the things that you see, you know, some of the things that I wanted to edit out, and you encouraged me like, no, let's keep it in there, you know. So I think even after many months, probably a year or so, you know, I still read it and there's still something different, or I discover someone, you know, the same me, but I discover another part of me, and I'm like, there she goes, you know. I forgot about that one. I forgot about this person, you know, which all makes me, but it was it was a good process. And I think after that, I've written a few things here and there, but again, I call it a vomit because I think it was just whatever was left over that needed to come out, you know. I don't think I've written anything else as powerful after Gaps, you know. So yeah.
Have you been open to writing more about your process or your history and your recovery in general?
So a weird thing is happening to me. I don't know what to name it. I don't know. I took, like, when the pandemic started, I was reading a lot. I was reading a lot. But writing, for some reason, I wasn't writing. You know, writing felt like a task at some point. And also having a book published and having, you know, the kind of content that was in that book, it was always, it felt like there was something in my mind, like whatever I write, it has to be along the same of like abuse and, you know, and I did not want to do that because I feel like I was not in that space anymore. So it was more like just waiting for something new
Got it.
to come up. Not that I don't want to write about my trauma anymore, and I don't want to write about my healing, but I just felt like I'm in a different space mentally, and I wanted, also I'm in a different space when it comes to joy, and I wanted to write more about that. I wanted to write more about those things, and it wasn't coming to me, so it was like, I'm just gonna keep reading and wait for it, and little by little it's coming now. So I think, the next thing that I work on, there will still be a little bit of trauma because, again, that's part of me. But I think I wanted to have a different feel to it. I wanted it to be much lighter, so that's where I'm at now.
That's beautiful and encouraging. And I just want to share a little bit here because you said a lot there.
I did.
No, in a good way. That's also me. Like, that's also my struggle, right? So I've been writing, it seems, for all my life. And I sort of add in the time that I began journaling at 6. You start journaling. Oh God, why me? Those were essays too. God, take my life now. I don't want to be here.
I hear you.
And so I've been writing all my life, and there's been many, 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 many years where I've said, I don't want to write about this pain. Like, if the only time I can write is to write about my sorrow, then when can I ever be happy? And so my struggle for many years was like waiting for the joy to come into the writing. And I couldn't write a word. And I'm like, wow, is this my curse? To only write about the sorrow. And I think I'm just now getting to a point where it's like, well, if I can only write about angst, if I can only write about anger, fear, hurt, disappointment, all these things, then maybe I can figure out a different perspective to write about those things. And I think the way that God has shown me over the years is the way that I can look back on my body of work is that the joy was actually in the going through, right? And so I can look at all these things, and I have a friend and I was so angry at her when she said this, because she said it like I had a choice. She was like, why is your life so difficult? I'm like, exhausted. I'm like, well, excuse me for telling you about my pain. Right?
And it's exhausting to you too.
Right? Like, I didn't choose to be abused and to have no way to cope with this, or how to, not know how to transition into adult relationships. Like, I didn't choose that. I'm struggling, still, So it's interesting. But and I haven't really written in the last year at all. Like, I've been trying to focus on editing, on the photography. And I have a journal. I've been keeping a journal all my life. And I have to force myself to journal. And what I have realized over the last few years is that when I don't journal, I'm also not praying. I'm also not communicating with God. And so it's a hard thing to sort of check myself when I'm not writing, because that's also my communion. And that's something it took a long time to accept for me. Because, like I said, my writing started off with prayers to God. Hello, God, what's going on? And my writing is still a conversation with God. And so if I'm not writing, if I'm not journaling, I'm feeling completely disconnected with life. So I feel you on that. It's like, I want to get to the point where I can write happily about joy. And it's like, the joy's not coming. But then when I write about the things that are happening, the joy is already there. And that's what I found.
I love that.
So, but beautiful. So I found in the book, so I Am a Woman, I grouped 3 of your mini poems together under the title. I think you submitted them as, can we see? Yeah. As a ceremony stands before you. And you numbered them 1, 2, 3. And I put them underneath that heading. But number one was the one for me. And you say they did not tell you as a question. Women who break themselves out of cages fly with a hunger only their God can feed. And you are no manna.
Yeah.
Chills. Just chills every time I read it.
No, wait. I know it's my own words, but my hair just kind of got a little tingle. Like, yay.
I got a tingle. I'm like, ooh. Like, didn't you know that women who break themselves out of cages?
Yes. They're wild.
It's the work, you know.
There's something else. They're magic, and I don't know. I think that was for me. I think that was also for. I was raised in a very religious home where I think everyone I know is either like an elder, a pastor, a deacon. You know, I think I was. One of the things that I noticed is just expectations of who you should be as a woman, expectations of how you should act as a child, expectations of, you know, how you should act because of the last name that you have, you know. So I grew up a lot hearing, you know, don't do that because it's going to come back to your grandfather, your, you know, stuff like that, you know. And also, you know, I'm sure there are people who have shared their story, and they have people who dismiss it. They have people who, you know, who don't believe them, you know. So I think that was kind of like my FU to say that, you know, you can't break women like that. You can't break, you know, and also you don't have control and, you know, what I do, what I say, how I'll become, you know, because I think I also grew up with, you know, you're acting this way now, that means you're going to become this woman in the future.
Speaking, like they're projecting who you are. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, you like this now, you're going to like this later on. You know, you act this way, you're not going to have a husband later on. You have, you know, so I think it was just my way of like, who are you, you know? And also seeing that with everything that I've been through, and not just with this trauma, just even like, I'm not even supposed to be here. You know, I had a big car accident when I was young.
Wow.
Yeah. So, you know, so I think I was just kind of like, with everything I've been through, I'm still here, you know, with the pain, with the joy, with the hope, we're still trying to move forward. It was like, you know, no one can, you know, can stop that. No one can tell me how I should be and, you know, what I should be or how I will become. And I think it came from a sense of strength, you know, not just for me, but also women that I admire, you know, and all of these women, there's always a story of someone who tried to silence them or someone who tried to shut them up. And it was just like, you know, we have wings, we fly.
We fly.
Yeah.
We fly.
So, yeah.
I
think that was kind of like my, who do you think you are, you know, moment.
It can't hold me down.
Yeah, to ever try or to ever, you know, want to hold me back or, you know, so yeah.
Absolutely. And it's a powerful thing to come into the power, right? And to come into the realization that you are powerful in and of yourself.
It's scary too. You know, I think we're writing this and we're writing unspoken and not publishing it. One is like, how dare you, you know, how dare you write this? How dare you, you know, uncover things that, you know, you have been trained to like, this is not something you uncover in public. This is not something, you know, you don't even write it somewhere for someone to find it.
And you know, sharing whatsoever, you hold that in, right?
Yeah. So I think
let it build into a cancer.
Yeah, writing it was scary because, like, deep down, I already know I wrote it. It's gonna go out there, you know, because that's my goal, right? I want to give people a voice, and I want to put it out there. And then publishing it is also very scary. I had I guess I'll say a family member. I guess they heard through the grapevine that I was publishing a book. And what I find very interesting is they did not know the content of the book, right? They from how I heard it, they're not even sure what I'm writing about, but they've heard that I'm writing a book, and their concern was for someone to let me know that I shouldn't write anything that will make another family member uncomfortable or look back. And it took me a while to sit back, and then I started getting angry. It's like, for someone who does not know the content that I'm gonna write, you're very concerned. So then I start to look back, like, are you concerned because maybe you knew, or are you concerned because there were some signs that you knew, like, this child is being harmed in this way, right? Because if I'm saying I'm writing a book, you don't know nothing about it, you gotta ask, right?
Right.
Right? But it seems
what are you assuming I'm sharing?
Right? But
Absolutely.
It seems like there's something in you that is letting you know, or telling you that whatever I'm writing is going to reveal some things that someone else will say I shouldn't reveal. So you're so concerned about that. And that was also another, like, oh, I'm doing this. And again, it's scary because I think at that moment, I wasn't this person now where my peace of mind is like my number one priority, where even if you're someone who's a family member, if I know from the way you've treated me that you don't want me to be happy, or the way you want me to be happy is the way you feel like I should be happy. I have come to the acceptance that family doesn't have to go everywhere with you, whether blood or not blood, but I wasn't there yet. So there was still that fear of, if I do put this out, some family members may be angry. And, despite the fact that they're not going to be angry because they're angry about what happened to me, they're angry about me sharing it.
Oh, absolutely.
And how I guess it makes them look, or, whatsoever. So yeah, in that moment, I was afraid that I'm sharing it. But the woman that I am now, it's like,
Isn't it great to get to that point though?
Yeah. And it's like, I guess that woman was already in me. That's why, I still had that.
Uncover her.
Like, just put it out there. But I think it was very interesting when the person told me, I was like, I don't think she's even been on my website. She doesn't know my website. I don't think she knows the content of what I'm writing, but something in it, something about me writing a book felt threatened to this person, which there's a whole lot to dig in there, but I was like, wow, I haven't even put it out yet.
Right. And what's intriguing about that is the insidious nature of the attempt to silence people and sharing anything about themselves other than what the collective construct is, right? So if we take this wider to society, women in general just need to look pretty, shut up, bear kids,
and this was coming from a woman,
and right, so we have to stay within a certain construct. And when we step outside of that, who are you and how dare you, right? I had to suck it up. Why can't you suck it up, right? We get that. And then, it's like, I shared with a friend recently that in order for me to be content with my life and myself at this stage in my life, I have to let go of everything that I was taught to want. Right? So in society, we are conditioned from an early age to want marriage, just want a man. Hey, I need a man. I need that relationship, right? Otherwise, I'm not whole. Otherwise, I'm not good. Otherwise, I'm not worthy by myself, right? I need to have children because what good is a woman without a child? like, what is my purpose if I don't have a child?
What are you using your uterus for?
Don't you have that for something? And I have to be able to care for my elderly parents, right? So we are conditioned to literally have a pipeline of taking care of people from the cradle to the grave, right? It's first our siblings or our relatives, it's then our husband, and then it's our children, and then it's our parents. And and this is taking me eventually to my question, when am I just going to be a woman? When am I just going to be who I want to be? You know, and I told my friend, I said, I would sit up in this renovated house, or the house I'm renovating, being depressed every day if I thought about the fact that I have nothing that society says I should have.
Yeah.
My parents are dead. Who am I taking care of? I have no children. Who am I taking care of? I have no man. Who am I taking care of? It's just me. And how dare me enjoy my life with just me?
Yeah.
And so I have to turn those constructs on their head and say, I'm worthy of my life. I'm worthy of my dreams. I'm worthy of my ambition. I'm worthy of my own efforts for myself and not for anybody else. Or not for the purpose of anyone else or the benefit of anyone else. Yeah. And that doesn't mean I'm selfish. It's just, it's my life, you know? So to that end, what is womanhood to you? Like, what is your womanhood to you?
My womanhood to me is freedom. And I don't want to get emotional. The moment I said that word, I said, I was like, whatever you do, you're not going to cry on camera.
I'll cry with you.
And I think where that is coming from is, as I said, I grew up in a religious setting, church every Sunday, you know, and I think when I look back from my childhood to even like when I was like 23, it literally feels like my life was a performance, you know, for others, right? Throughout those years, I can't find, you know, I find little bits here, something that's like, oh yeah, this is Abena, you know, I did this for me. You know, this is my personality shining through. But I performed a lot. Yeah. I performed a lot from, I think, every aspect of school, right? From church, from, you know, depending on who was around, you know, how I'm performing for them, and depending on what family member, how I'm performing for them. And
absolutely.
Yeah. And I look back and it is so exhausting. It's so sad and it's so exhausting. You know, and I look back and I see other people performing around me too. You know, it's just a dance that we're all doing.
We're all doing. Yep.
You know, and then growing up as an adult, realizing that I'm still performing, you know, even in moments where I thought, you know, I'm breaking away from people's expectations, that there were still some performance in there, you know, even in relationships with men, I'm performing my desires. I'm performing, I'm not satisfied, but I'm performing that I'm satisfied, you know, just for this person, just to please this person.
Make him feel better about himself, right?
Yeah. Even something that's so important to me now, my spirituality, I was performing it. You know, I was performing what I've been taught that as a Christian, you should talk like you should, you know, but then there are these things in me, there's these desires in me, there are these characteristics in me that if I was to go back to the church I grew up from, I'm not supposed to be doing this, right? Even though it's coming from a place of love, you know, I've had so many arguments and so many conversations on the topic of homosexuality, and you know, I have friends who identify with the LGBTQ, and I've had conversations about if I should be friends with them, right? You know, right? This is, let's say, in my youth. I've had conversations about if I should have tattoos, and I have tattoos, you know. Just, little bit of things that it's like, it sounds like little things, but then it starts getting deeper and how you should be, how you should, I've had, and I'm just getting like different memories. I almost went into a relationship with someone who felt like they need to tell me how to dress, where I shouldn't show my shoulders, where I shouldn't, and I almost still follow this person to still do so it's still performing because I like to show skin. I like to show my back, I like to, all of these things. So it is just like, I've been performing for too long, too long, to the point that even now when I see little bits of it, I have to like stop, because it's almost like it's disgusting to me, like in some sense, like to look back and like, you've been doing all of this, you've been saying all of this, you've been to please other people, right? Or to not come off as a I don't know, maybe as a difficult woman, and it was just like, no. Yeah. So I think my womanhood to me is the freedom to like what I like. Is the freedom to say what I want to say, right? Is the freedom to be who I want to be. Is the freedom to be sensual, to be, especially with my history with sexual trauma, it is the freedom to say that I love sex, right? On my own will, right? To be able to say that, to be able to say, I want to enjoy this, So I think it's just freedom in all aspects of it, even spiritually, it is the freedom to have a relationship with God the way that I sense in my spirit, that it is great. There's no judgment. There's no those voices of how it needs to be done, how it needs to, and I'm not doing anything to harm anyone, It's coming out of a place of love. And I just couldn't understand why being this person, who loves everyone, who doesn't see, all the little things that is like society makes into like, makes it so complicated, being someone who is like, I don't really care, you're not harming me, you're not harming someone out there, being someone who welcomes that, yet I was in a space where I shouldn't be doing that, I was in a space where, because I'm doing that, I'm not really, I'm not someone of God, for someone else. It's like, no, if you're absolutely. Right.
The judgment.
Yeah. The judgment, to the point that I even stopped, I was so focused on the language that I was using, because I had so much people who, because, they're Christian, right. And they're Christian in a certain way. They see it as, I should be a Christian in that same way, to the point I stopped telling people like what, because I don't want to say something where you're stressed out because you see me somewhere else and I'm not doing what you think,
I should be doing. Yeah.
I should be doing. And then now I'm stressed out too, because I stressed you out. You're now confused and you're bothered about the things I do, the things I say. So, it was just like, no, but all that to say, like, I've been performing since I can remember. And the age I really do remember is from 6 going.
Okay.
Yeah. And then it got to a point where it was too tiring, not just for me. Like, I saw people doing it around me. I still see people doing it, friends, family, I see my mother doing it, so it was just like, as you mentioned, when do you get to become your own person and, your own woman? And I always tell, I'm always making this joke to my friends, like, you know what? I don't know if when you die, yes, you do come back. People believe different things.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to come back to like maybe do it again. So I have to do this time what I want, right? Because no one has gone to come back to let me know like, oh, I've been like, maybe this one, just do it to please everyone when you
Right,
come
right.
back next time.
Like none of my prior self said you had a good life at one point.
Right?
And this is how you got there.
There you go.
I can
So
figure
no
out
one has
now.
gone and come back to let me know, like, you know what, just do whatever they want you to do this time. The next one, I promise you, you get to do whatever.
Oh, you boo.
I don't know how it's gonna go, you know, so I need to do it
Yeah.
now. You know, I need to explore all parts of me now. You know, because I don't think that there's not a mistake on who we are, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, you know, the divine that made me knew exactly what I was gonna do, exactly who I was gonna be. You know, the beautiful parts, the ugly parts, you know, do everything. So I felt like, you know, if my God felt like, oh, she's perfect, let me let her out there into the world, then it's like, you know, why do I have to, you know, to belittle myself, you know, my spirit, to do things that people want me to do, to say things, right? And I'm learning that it's becoming such a big part of me that even in professional settings, like when it starts to become like, you know, and we know professional, there's rules, there's regulations, you know, your 9 to 5, there's so many things that goes into it. But I think when I start to get a sense of like, I have to perform, you know, I have to do things that I don't really value, that is when I start to like, I have to leave, you know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's really not just professional, not just like, I'm really trying to put me forward, because like, I think the me has been shut down in so many ways, in subtle ways and, you know, direct ways, that it's like, enough is enough. You know,
truly.
Yeah. So womanhood to me is freedom.
I appreciate that. I hadn't thought of, you know, my womanhood as that, but that's certainly been the way that I've been sort of trying to live my life since 30. 30 was the year, turning 30 was the birthday or the month, the time, whichever, where I was just like, I'm done with everybody else.
Yeah.
I'm going to go try and figure out who LaShawnda is without people telling me who I am. Or without, you know, because and it's interesting because this is 16 years later. I was close to my aunt and my grandmother, and my aunt was starting to take care of my grandmother, but in her taking care of my grandmother, she was leaning on me more. So she was like transferring responsibility basically. So it's like, well, if I have to take care of mama, you have to take care of me. I'm like, but why do I have to? Like, you're a woman in your prime. Yeah. Like, you got children and grandchildren. Why do I have to take care of you? You know? And I was like, let me move away from home and see if I'm. Because
sometimes you just have to detach.
I moved to New York City. I was like, I wrote them a letter. I wrote my grandma, my auntie a letter. I said, you know, I love you. Love you to bits. But I really want to know who I am without the expectations of family, of friends who have known me my whole life and who have told me who I am to them, right? Because so like my mom died when I was 20. Everyone instantly everyone was like, oh, well, you're your mother's oldest daughter, so you have to take care of us. I'm like, okay, I know my mom was the oldest, but I'm not the oldest. Like, my aunts and uncles are literally older than I am. Why am I taking, you know? So they literally put me in my mother's role. So all of my 20s, I'm running around for people. I'm just like, this isn't the life I envisioned for myself.
Yeah.
You know? And mind you, these are the same people who didn't stand up for me or speak for me when I needed them to do that. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, am I someone different? And I will share what I found out in my time in New York is that I'm not different. I'm still the caretaker. Like, it's ingrained in me.
Yeah.
But, I acquired boundaries and I learned how to say no. So where before NYC, I just would not say no. I would let people run me ragged. It was, okay, I'll do it. I'll figure it out. Okay, I'm on my way. I'm doing this. Okay, I'll be there. Okay, I have this at this morning and this in the afternoon and this in the evening, and I'll get home at 11 and just fall out. But in New York, I was like, oh, no, it's a friend? Nah, I ain't got time for that.
Yeah.
Not today, not tomorrow, not next year. No, I'm not interested. No, that doesn't work for me, you know? And it just made life easier, you know? So the freedom, absolutely, the freedom to be who you are, the freedom to grow into who you're becoming, the freedom to speak your mind, the freedom to do for yourself, right? Without feeling guilty, you know? So it's like, I think I used to, even when I was in New York, I would come back home 2 or 3 times a year just to visit the family. And I would do these, like, I call them marathons, where I'll do a 3 or 4 day weekend and visit a family in Milwaukee and Indiana. So I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I'm seeing everybody in 3 days. And then go back to work Monday morning exhausted, right?
Yeah.
And the last weekend I did that, my grandmother, my whole family, they got around and just started insulting me, right? So my grandmother had been saying, one of my grandmothers, my mom's mom, had been saying that no one's visiting her, no one's doing anything for her. So she's been on the phone telling me all these things about what people aren't doing for her. And I was like, well, Grandma, I'm going to come visit you. I'm going to spend time with you, Mother's Day, blah, blah, blah. I get there, everybody's at the house. People just popping up. Impromptu barbecue. And she was so embarrassed. She was like, oh, they don't do this. I'm like, well, Grandma, so she has me feeling guilty in New York that she's all alone and she's not getting any visitors and people are just showing up. Hey, Mama, what you want? Hey, Grandma, what's going on? Hey, Miss Jones, you know? And she was so mortified that I saw this, that she, like, everyone was there. That she got really nasty. And so then everybody got nasty. So, and their whole thing was to call me fat. They like calling me fat. You know, and of course, there's no conversation if it's not about a band. So it's like, LaShawnda, you got a man yet? LaShawnda, where's your boyfriend? When you gonna get kids? So all these things that I'm not.
Yeah.
Right. And belittling me, and the whole conversation was about what I don't have, who I'm not, what I can't, you know. And I'm sitting here thinking, every time I come home, I'm spending almost the amount of money I could spend to go on a vacation someplace else. Every time.
Yeah.
So I looked at all of them and I said, this is my last visit. And this was probably 7 years after I moved to New York. So 7 years it took me to get to this point. So first I run away, then it took a while to stop going back. Right? And I said, I am no longer going to spend money and time to visit people who have no respect for me. I'm done. Yeah. And now I go back only for funerals. Funerals and hospital visits. And it's really sad because I wanted to give more. I tried to give more, but they continue to even abuse that. Right. Yeah. And so now it's just like, you know, hi, family in passing. And, you know, it is what it is.
And that's exactly where I'm at right now.
Yeah.
You know, I think I was doing that thing where it's like, oh, when I get to a certain age, that's when I'm going to start, you know, placing some boundaries. And 30 was the age for me. I feel like
that's the
30
age.
Was like, I'm grown. You can't help me, you know, right? I have the right to say everything out there. I'm going to say it. And, you know, no one can question me.
Yeah.
You know, so it was always 30. I'm going to cut that person off. 30, I'm gonna let this person know my mind. 30, which I'm a year from.
You're counting down.
But it happened in I think 28 and a half. So I turned 29 on, what's today's date? February 23rd. I turned 29.
Happy birthday. Happy belated birthday. Happy early birthday. Yeah.
Early birthday. Yeah, thank you. But it I don't know. It's like, I have this thing where, like, when I'm being indecisive about something, it's so weird. It seems like spirit starts to throw things at me to, like, you see this, you see this, you see that, you see that, make the decision. You see it, you know, and just a lot started happening with family members that I was like, okay, we're going to put those boundaries in now. And when the interesting things that happen when you're trying to, like, set your boundaries, for good, not even, you're not coming from a place of you hurt me. And, you know, when you're really trying to let someone know, like, I hear you, but this is also my side. And this is moving forward. This is how I'm doing it. And the turn, oh my goodness, to like it was actually funny to me, you know, like it wasn't and I usually get angry about things like, but there was no anger. There was just like, see, this is why you had to do it early.
Right.
You know, and
you're straight.
Yeah. And so many things are coming out to the point that like the people that do matter in my life that didn't see it before, they're like, oh my God, this is how they're responding to you. This is what they said. I can't believe it. And it's like, I've been trying to tell you, this is how this person is for so long, you know, but this person is like a very respected person in the family because they've taken care of people, you know, they've done so much.
And that's all people see anyway, right? Right. How they benefit.
And due to that, this person expect that whatever they want, no question, because it's almost like you're obligated to do, because I've taken care of you. I've done this for you. So, you know, however it hurts you, just do it. Right. And I was the person that was coming, you know, a few people too, but I was like, no, you know, I appreciate that you did this for me, you know, and we're not even going to get into, you know, and you doing this for me, I got a lot of hurt through it too. But, you know, we're just going to remain grateful. And, you know, but I'm no longer going to say yes, you know, yes, sir, you know, just because I have to. And the moment I started even in subtle ways, the moment I started angry, this, you know, saying things that doesn't even make sense about me anymore, you know, that the close people are like, wait, what? You know, it's like there is lies, there is, you know, just to kind of like, I can no longer control her. You know, she's being someone that she's not going to hear me. So now it's like, I'm going to say things that would just make her look bad.
But you hit, it's the control.
It's the control.
It's the control. So lies and manipulation to control, right? And not just control you, your behavior, your image, but to control everybody in a sense of how they view you and treat you also. Right? Yeah. And, you know, they're doing this to people close to me that they know, you know, I'm closer to them. So they're saying these things to them. And it's like, what's the motive if it's not for them to, you know, to change their perspective of me as well? Absolutely. You know, but it has come to a point where like it's like eyes open now. They're like, oh my goodness, I didn't see it. You know, you're just sitting back and not doing anything, and they're just going. And I woke up one day. Again, I'm just laughing like, wow. I woke up one day, I scrolled through my phone, I clicked this person's name, and other people, I deleted it and I blocked it. And, you know, and I look back like, you know, 18, 19, 20, that person, I would be like, that's so disrespectful, you know, that you're deleting and blocking this person that has done so much to you. But it's like the things that this person asked of me, the things that they expected of me, really harmed me to the point, like, you know, crying to the, like, I'm tired, exhausted, you know? And it was just like, no. So I think interesting things happen when you start to set your boundaries, especially with people that you never had a positive relationship with in the first place. Oh, absolutely. You know, good for you. Good for you. Yeah. No, that's powerful. And thanks for sharing. And it's just a reminder that all of life is a process, right? Relationships, getting out of relationships, you know, managing relationships is all a process. But the work needs to be done. If we don't do the work, we don't grow. As I said, I only know I have this life. No one has told me different. So there you go. I got to do it all now. Hey, if I come back, then, you know. Then we'll discuss then, right? Yeah, but this is the only one I got. So right. So, well, as we wrap up, I would just ask that you read one of your pieces from I Am Woman that you know, that probably resonates best with you or most with you or in this moment that you want to share. Okay. I think I'm going to do To My Daughter. Okay. Since we started with that. Thank you. First. Okay. And I'm reading it from Unspoken. I'm waiting for my copy of I Am Woman. Okay. And then I'll get to I'm still, look, I have not uploaded the update yet, but I'm going to force myself to do it this weekend.
but I can't wait to have that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is to my daughter. Here we go. Okay. Because God has a way of letting us birth ourselves. Skin of my skin, blood of my blood, I have named you. Saved you a seat next to the sun, light and warmth inside of you. This is for the coldness of the world. You will taste inside me, pain embedded in this skin. You will feel the force of a push to erase memories that have been my redemption. You will touch dead skin, shed to keep others alive, to keep men alive. You will hear questions that I have yet to find answers to. But this I know. You are of raw love, the kind that breathes into you every day a new life. You are of passion that burns, the kind no one can put out without your permission. You are made of strength, the kind that leaves you standing tall at the image of your scars. You are made of tears, the kind that baptize when your soul needs a savior. You are made of beauty, the kind that is untouchable, the kind that reflects the continent. You are timeless. You are made of God, a kind that you won't find anywhere except within you. You are of God. You are made of blood, the kind that flows in your mother and her mother and her mother's mother, the kind that births in you everything you need in your falling and blooming. And this you will know.
Thank you. Beautiful.
Thank
And
you.
so when was Unspoken published, and what are the works focused on, or the theme of
Unspoken was published, I believe, 2018.
Okay.
October 2018. I have the right. Let me see. 2018, and the revised version was published in 2019.
Okay, and available. Go ahead and show it.
It's available on Amazon. It's also at Barnes and Noble. I think anywhere you can get a book.
Awesome.
It's there now. And my website is Abena, ABENA, AMH.com. I have some journal entries there. I have some videos there as well. And thank you for letting me read, because again, when you reread your work, something different hit me. I know how we're talking about, we don't have children yet, but we have we have works dedicated to them. I realized that to my daughter, I'm also kind of telling what kind of love I want, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I'm letting her know that you're made of raw love. You're made of passion. You're made of someone who gives you permission to be yourself. And that's also the kind of love I want for myself too.
Absolutely.
So I think there's a lot of manifestation going on there.
Thank you for sharing that. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So, well, thank you for sharing so much. Because no, seriously, because, and I'm not being funny. I think that, there's a tendency to sort of be overly cautious in cultivating the words that we speak about ourselves, right? And so that also is a performance, right? So like part of me wanted to get up and comb my hair. And I'm like, this is as good as I got.
And I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful for this space, because there's a sense of freedom to it,
Yes. This is where we are. This is who we are. This is what it is, right?
Yeah.
And I think that honesty is just such a beautiful thing.
It is.
And allowing freedom and allowing growth and just allowing people to be who they are,
Yeah.
So thank you. I will, I can only say I will try